are now listening to a Forward Mile Podcast Network production.
All right, welcome into the next edition of the Vegas Squares podcast. We have a full roundtable in studio. We are discussing the events that have transpired since the last time, Anthony, you and I talked. One of the weird events that's transpired is you have won back-to-back tennis bets.
Yes, absolutely. Same guy, dogged both times, and my two biggest tennis bets ever.
Yeah. So be careful, because when I sent that to you and I told you that I was going to go to you with the tennis bets, I did hear of the table. Just careful with your wood there. I know you're excited about the John Isner wins. But that was a long-winded joke, so that fell flat. So, anyways, so what are you going to do with your tennis winnings now? I mean, are you going to retire right off into the sunset with your game?
No, I'm going to risk it for the biscuit and put it on the Smasters.
On the Schmasters?
Yep, I'm picking 4 golfers that are 51 or longer shots. And try and go crazy.
All right. So, do you have any golfers in mind that you are going to do 50 to 1 or better?
I have a few in mind as of right now, and the one that comes to my mind.
I mean, obviously, it's not Tiger. Tiger's rolling at 6 to
10 to 1.
Yeah, 6 to 10. I see 6 to 8.
Yeah, and William Hill right now he's 8 to 1, which I would be ridiculous to bet that.
What is the and you know this, what is the there's like a stigma out there with the guy who wins the Houston Open. It used to be the Valero Open.
Yes.
Before, there's usually that guy makes a huge jump in Masters odds as well. Poulter won. Was it Poulter who won today?
Yes, it was
Poulter won today.
He won in a playoff.
Right. What are his updated odds?
As of right now, he's 60 to 1.
So, okay.
And I think he was 100 to 1 coming into this week, if I'm not mistaken.
So he's already jumped up a little bit. There's always been that. I mean, Tiger's good finishes the last few weeks has jumped him up. I mean, that's the thing with Tiger is, if he's playing well, he is the. I don't want to say the sexy bet because he's not necessarily. I mean, do you think he's a real competitor this weekend?
I think he will make the cut, but I don't see him making a top 10 finish.
Interesting. Even, of course, he has, been known to kind of, I don't want to say dominate, but he's played really well when he does play.
I've heard in his backyard he has 4 different greens set up to practice chipping and putting, and one of them set to Augusta National standards. Like the same green, the same speed, all that.
Well, when you got fuck you money, I guess you can do something like that, right?
He's hired a ex-groundskeeper of Augusta National to set it up and all that, so.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's, yeah. I have 2 right now that I'm considering betting that I 51 long shot or better. The favorite out of the 2 that comes to mind right now is Louis Oosthuizen. Which
Louis Oosthuizen?
Yep.
He is the what do you call it? The
guy that started this Masters, right?
Yeah, but I don't know what's like the Shiva in the league. You ever watch the show The League?
Yeah.
He's like the Shiva, like the he's the reason that something's being celebrated. He's the reason we're having the party.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but
with that albatross that he had on what was it,
hole
2 or whatever, yeah. That drained like 100 yards almost.
Something like that, yeah. So who do you have? You have Oosthuizen. Where's he at? You said
60 to 1 right now.
Okay.
And I'll probably book that tomorrow, if not later today. And another one that comes to mind right now is Carl Schwartzel at 100 to 1.
Well, he's won the Masters before, if I'm not mistaken.
He is. I think 2012 was that.
His name is Charles.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of guys I like, not necessarily in your 50 to 1 range, Or, well, I mean, one guy is 50 to 1. I like Adam Scott. He's a.
I'm kind of leaning towards betting him.
Do you see anything that he, would? He's been playing well lately, and he obviously, I believe he's won a Masters or he's won a U.S. Open. I know that. I know he's a major winner. That's the, I also know he's a major. He can blow a major at any given time as well, and let Ernie Els win one.
Yeah, he gift wrapped that one.
And what do you think about Sergio repeating? He's 33 to 1 right now.
He was 31 yesterday, and surprisingly added 3 extra points to the board. I wouldn't put it out of the question, but I wouldn't put my money on him. So
yeah, probably not. I mean, at 33 to 1, I guess you could sprinkle like $10 on him. Another guy is Justin Rose, who Sergio beat in the playoff. He's 20 to 1 or 17 to 1, depending on where you look. I've got Vegas Insider on my computer and William Hill on my phone. He's 20 to 1 over here on Vegas Insider. Point being is that he played so well, and the thing is, as much as the course changes, it's primarily just the greens. They don't really do a lot to Augusta. I mean, it's already a tough track as it is. So they don't really do too much in the way of course manipulation, other than obviously the greens. Every day they change them. So, I mean, realistically, guys like Spieth, Justin Rose, Sergio, Tiger are supposed to be the guys who are out in front. I mean, look at Freddie Couples. Freddie Couples has played this course for 50 years, and every year it seems that he gets out to a hot start, but just doesn't have the stamina to finish.
Yeah, Adam Scott, going back to him, he did win the Masters in 2013.
Okay, so Adam Scott did. He did. Okay,
and
I thought he did.
Schwartzel did as well in 2011, so I was 1 year off. And then right in between was the year that Bubba won it.
Well, Spike, you're sitting there. I know Golf Talk is riveting to you, and you're sitting there with your thumb in your belly button. So, let me ask you this: it is a golf question, but it's more of a demographics and golf as a sport that needs interaction. If Tiger Woods wins the Masters, can we see an influx or a rise back in the casual fan coming back to golf?
You would think so, just because, not just as a golfer, but as a sports story, as a human interest
a celebrity
story. Yeah, I could see that. I don't know that, as big as the Masters is, I don't know that one tournament, or Tiger winning one tournament is going to be enough to get a massive influx of the casual fan back.
Okay.
It's probably going to take, I don't know, however many major tournaments there are out there, or even the smaller ones that Tiger may win. I think it's going to take a sustained rise in Tiger Woods for the entirety of the, what do they call it, season, year, whatever the fuck. Before,
the tour, yeah.
Yeah, before people really start paying attention again, because anybody could have a good tournament, anybody could have a good year,
right? And that's what we've shown since Tiger's dominance has ended.
So. Right. It could be just
could be anybody any given week.
Right. So nobody's going to want to pay attention if he has one good tournament and then he has 4 shit ones. So they're going to want to see a pattern, a consistency out of him before they turn back and say, "Oh, okay, he's good again. Let's pay attention."
Now, I mean, good again is a tough thing to kind of analyze, because I don't remember the exact year. I believe it was 2015. Anthony, help me out with this. Tiger won 5 tournaments and was Player of the Year.
2015?
Was it 15 or 14?
I want to say it was 14.
Was it? Okay, 14. I mean, I'm not. The year is almost irrelevant at this point. My point being is that he won 5 tournaments that year. None of them were majors. Mm-hmm. But it didn't move the needle, like what you're saying.
Sparked interest, kind of.
Yeah, I think this one major could move the needle.
I think so too, because he's been out of the gig for a couple of years.
I mean, we're coming up on exactly 10 years. I believe his last major was the U.S. Open in 2008
when he won on playoff
on one leg.
Yeah,
that was the U.S. Open's always on Father's Day, so we're talking 2.5 months from now. Yeah. We're coming up on exactly a decade from his last major. Mm-hmm. And with the way the sports books react to his performance, I've got to say that, all he did was play well at the Arnold Palmer. Didn't win it. He was in contention. And now you're talking about Tiger's the favorite to win the Masters. How much money do you think is going to come in on him?
Shit ton.
You're getting the worst odds on him. I mean, at this point. But I mean, people will still
the
bet him.
value is not there in my mind.
No, the value is not there now. Back 15 years ago, I mean, Tiger used to be almost even money to the field.
I heard in some spots it was like minus money even.
I can't confirm that. I don't know if there's any spots. That,
I've heard.
If anybody knows, if there's a time Tiger was ever a negative, odds favorite, I would love to hear it. You can get us on Vegas Squares on the Twitter. That would be interesting considering it's. I mean, it's very highly unlikely, but you may be right. But there were a lot of times where Tiger was even or a slight, plus favorite to the rest of the field. And I'm not talking about each individual golfer. I'm talking about to the field as a whole. Like you could bet Tiger versus the field, and Tiger was sometimes the better bet.
Yeah.
So, because I mean, we're talking about 14 majors, but I think he's won like 70, 75 tournaments as well over the course of almost 20 years at this point.
Something around there, yeah.
So he moves the needle in the sense of it's kind of a both. You're right. If he wins the Masters, we may want to see more. A golf purist may say, I don't want to crown him back because at the same token, when we crowned Jordan Spieth the next Tiger too quickly, now look at Jordan Spieth.
Tiger has 92 wins.
92. Oh, okay. I thought it was in the 70s. Okay, I apologize. I was way off. My point being is we crowned Jordan Spieth. We crowned Rory McIlroy. Look how many guys we've crowned the next Tiger Woods. And it's the fact that they can't sustain the success like he has only shows you that Tiger's first 10 years in golf was that much more dominant. I mean, the only person that can ever compare with him, obviously, is Jack Nicklaus. I always want to say Jack Nicholson, but it's not Jack Nicholson. Tiger Woods, the Joker? No, not the same thing. No, you looking like you have a smart ass comeback, huh?
I just, for some reason, my brain isn't firing quite right, and I couldn't quite get there for what I wanted to be with that joke. So I let it die, as opposed to you that just fucking lets anything fly out of your goddamn pie hole.
Well, this has been the last edition of the Vegas Squares podcast. You can all go fuck off. All right, Spike. We'll rope it back into some stuff you want to talk about. College basketball.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Hit him when he's down.
Yeah, semi-plug. I did win the bracket. Spike did come in a respectable fourth. Good job, Spike.
Yeah, well, that it does feel like it would be a better achievement if there had been slightly more entries in our bracket competition.
Yeah. I don't mean to poke you guys while you're down, but you guys got beat by a girl.
Oof.
She actually had more correct wins than you, too.
Yeah, she just didn't have the right ones.
Yep.
Yeah, fair enough. So props to the producer, Desiree, for actually selecting more correct entries. So let's put a bow, basically, because we're not going to have a podcast before the national championship game that goes off at like midnight Eastern pretty much every year for whatever reason. Villanova basically took care of Kansas pretty easily, but Sister Jean's run has come to an end, and Loyola was kind of run out of the gym at the later parts of that game. Anthony, what did you think about both games?
I was more interested in the Michigan Loyola, or however you pronounce.
The olive oil game?
The Michigan Ramblers game. We'll just call them the Ramblers or the Sister Jeans.
Yeah.
Or L Chicago. Chicago took that L.
On a mission from God with the Blues Brothers.
Yeah. Full tank of gas.
Yeah. That was the more of the matchup that I was interested in, though the other game was more evenly matched on paper. But
just sharp shooting by Villanova, but Loyola and Michigan seemed to be tit for tat for most of the game. I mean, it was like
the final 8 minutes of the game.
Yeah, I don't know if that's just a depth issue or is that just whatever it was. Michigan is now playing Villanova. We've got the opening line at 7. It has since gone to 6.5 in some spots. Just for shits and giggles, who do you like in that matchup on the line?
Villanova
with the 7? You think they can shoot the lights out like they did? They shot almost 60% from the field against Kansas. Yes. I think Michigan's either equal to or better than Kansas, in my opinion.
My mind is Michigan doesn't have the defense to slow them down.
Okay,
they don't have enough to protect the 5-man team that is Villanova.
Do you think Michigan can score with them?
they could try and keep it up, but in my mind, they're going to slow start and plummet downhill.
Well, the reason I ask is if you think Villanova is going to run away and score at will, and if Michigan can even get on the board in the 60s or 70s, I'm looking at the total of 145, kind of seeing where I like. A lot of the people like the over. So if you're telling me you don't think Michigan can get there, maybe the under's in play at 145.
I like the under in that situation. In my mind, it's going to be, like I predicted, about 138 total.
Yeah, I wasn't necessarily looking at the matchup line. I was looking at the total, and I was also looking at the under specifically for what you said. I didn't think that Michigan would be able to keep up with Villanova, and I just, Michigan would put up, 22 against Loyola in the first half there, so...
Something like that, 22.
You can get away with that against Loyola, apparently, but you're not going to be able to do that against Villanova and get away with it and be able to come back and win.
7 doesn't seem too big for either of you guys in a championship game?
No, in my mind, no. And I would probably wait to bet it because I believe that line is going to shift down to about 6, maybe 5.5.
Well, it's impressive because at this point in time, what I see on, at least like I said, Vegas insiders at this point, the majority of the money on the money line is coming, or excuse me, on the side is coming in on Villanova. The money line is also coming in a little less on Villanova as well. I think Villanova is going to win. However, I foresee a repeat performance with maybe not a buzzer beater like they did against North Carolina, but I can see them having to nail 2 critical free throws down the stretch to beat a team like Michigan. I think I'll take Michigan with the 6 or the 7 points. Mm-hmm. If it gets any lower, I may have to reassess. But
you want to let your bet ride against me?
What bet?
The Villanova, Kansas.
Oh well, you had Kansas,
yeah.
Right? So
yeah.
What was our bet?
1,000.
Oh, are you really going to pay me that 1,000?
You want to let it ride on this game?
So I'm either going to win 2,000 or 0.
Yeah.
And I get Michigan with 7 points. I get 7 points. The opening line, or at least 6.5.
6.5.
6.5 is the current spread.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll take that for 2K or no K.
No, let it ride. Risk it for the biscuit.
All right. And a side bet of $5 on the over/under.
Got a hedge.
Yeah, I gotta have my backdoor hedge.
Sure.
So, all right, yeah, I'll run it. I usually prefer a dog in title games just because they're getting to the title game for a reason, and although 7 doesn't seem like a blowout, I think Michigan's got enough in the tank. Beeline plays fantastic defense, so for me, Villanova to be able to just go up and down on the floor, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying you're not correct. I don't agree with that assessment.
You subject my reality and substitute your own, right?
Exactly. Old switcheroo. So, all right. Well, like I said, we probably may touch on that in the next podcast, but we're going to put a pin and wrap up. We're going to put a bow on the NCAA tournament. Man, we should have put 1,000 on the damn brackets. That would have been good.
No.
Although I don't know if I could feel comfortable giving the producer 1,000, getting beat by a girl, and giving her $1,000.
Be a kick to the nuts and some.
Yeah, it feels like a kick in the nuts. So, let's talk baseball. Obviously, they opened up their season. If you've been living under a rock, if you haven't been living under a rock, you know that. What am I saying here? I'm trying to read down the rundown and say things at the same time. That is not. I just got the message, the middle finger from Desiree. When I texted you guys the brackets.
Yeah, I saw.
I said eat it.
I know. I saw.
Okay. Let's talk open weekend. Oh, I thought this said basketball. I'm like, God, I can't even write my own lineups. Okay. All right. Spike, would you like to talk baseball?
Holy fucking shit. What is wrong with you?
I don't know. Words are tough right now.
I think, especially from opening day, one of the fascinating stories was how quickly Red Sox fans were willing to throw Alex Cora under the bus for their
one inning judgment.
8th inning collapse, saying that the bullpen is utter dog shit and this, that, and the other.
That's not necessarily inaccurate, though.
Oh no, it wasn't for that game, but for the last 2, the bullpen's been great.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those weird things. But to see that kind of overreaction after one game,
not even just the media.
no, it was fans.
Fans.
More than media. But
Well, I guess Jerry Remy's considered the media, but Jerry Remy shit all over Alex Cora on air, like during. I was watching the game. As it was happening, Jerry Remy is shitting all over. I interrupted you, I apologize.
Oh, no,
but Jerry Remy was shitting all over, and Dave O'Brien's like, "Ooh, this is weird." So, anyways, go ahead.
yeah, no, and it was one of those things where I was watching the game as well, but I wasn't able to watch with the sound on, so
It's probably okay.
Yeah, I was only able to watch the collapse and not get the full AV experience of it. But yeah, it's sort of maybe it's just a Boston thing to have that kind of overreaction after one game of the Major League Baseball season.
Of a manager's first game in his career.
Exactly. So that, to me, was one of the big standouts. I mean, so far, nothing else has really surprised us. Like, Bryce Harper hit 2 home runs today. Who is shocked?
Yeah.
No one.
Well, on the same token, with the Alex Cora questioning, pardon me, I was watching today, and Aaron Boone decided to walk Josh Donaldson to make the bases loaded to have a right-handed pitcher, David Robertson, pitch to a left-handed pitcher, Justin Smoke, which, you know, Josh Donaldson's one of the more dangerous hitters in the league, and I understand why he did what he did. However, probably bringing in a lefty at that point is probably the smarter move, but no. Boone left Robertson in, and the worst possible result happened.
Right.
A grand slam. So,
Well, I mean, it depends on your point of view, because for me, that's the best possible
well, yes, from a
result.
Yankee fan's perspective, the worst possible result ensued. And a person who bet the under in that game. I didn't. I'm just saying anybody who bet the under, because it hit the over right on that spot. But, yeah, so I was reading in some of the yes, because I like to, you know, when there's downtrodden negativity in Yankee world, you like to kind of just watch that. So they're pouncing on Boone right now too. Today's not a good day for Aaron Boone. So at the same token, you know, Yankees and Red Sox fans, media, you know, all those types are going to be very hot and cold with these two new managers, and it's going to be interesting because there's new managers in 3 teams that made the playoffs last year. There might be 4, but I think it's 3. Cora, Boone, and Dave Martinez with the Nationals. So, you know, those 3 teams have a lot of expectations this year, and guys who are navigating their very first professional seasons at the helm. I mean, they've all been involved in baseball. Cora played, has a bench coach experience. Boone played, has been in the booth for better part of a decade now. And Dave Martinez played and has also been in the Rays organization and in the Cubs organization for the last few years. So they have the knowledge to go through a season, but when it's your decision time, it's a little different.
Right, and especially a year like this, where both the Red Sox and the Yankees made so many acquisitions and off-season moves and everything else, that it's Red Sox-Yankees means something again. So having these two guys, both as first-year managers, both in possibly the worst media markets that you can be in for somebody with thin skin or somebody that doesn't necessarily have the experience.
Yeah, the scrutiny is crazy.
Exactly. You know, these are the kinds of, like, the little day-to-day decisions and then the long-term stretch decisions. All of them are going to come back and haunt a manager if they're wrong. And that's what we're going to see all season long. You know, if this had been, you know, 2 new managers of the Rangers and Padres, nobody would give a shit.
Right.
It's just the fact that it's Red Sox, Yankees. These are 2 teams that, you know, by all accounts, you know, depending on who you ask, either the Red Sox or Yankees will win the AL East, and the other one will be the wild card. So it's not like these are 2 bad teams trying to rebuild. They're done with the rebuild. They're ready to go. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I'm really looking forward to it. For the first time in a long time, I'm looking forward to a Red Sox-Yankees matchup.
Now, let me ask you this, and I was thinking about this actually yesterday when I was watching the Rays-Red Sox game. And I was thinking about, you know, Yankees-Red Sox of the rivalry. And I was thinking another fuel to the flames for Red Sox fans is who the manager is now. I mean, Joe Torre, yeah, he was always a dominant winner, and, you know, he was always very quiet. You really couldn't say a bad thing about him, even at the Red Sox. I mean, you can call him whatever you want, but, I mean, essentially, if you're trying to make a legitimate argument, it's hard.
The minute he retired from or left the Yankees organization, nobody in Boston had a bad word to say about Joe Torre.
Right. And I'd say for the most part, Girardi's the same way, even though he played in some of those 90s World Series teams. But now you have Aaron Boone. One of the main reasons Boston did not make the World Series in 2003.
Mr. Motherfucker.
Aaron fucking Boone. I mean, like, that he is basically Bucky friggin' Dent. Does he add an element to Red Sox fans' saltiness at that point? Or maybe I'm just overreaching for a point?
No, I mean, you're not. And I'm sure there are going to be people who are...
It's not like this rivalry needs any more, but I'm just saying, like, now they got Boone, who's a freaking Sox killer once. I mean, we all remember Wakefield stepping on the mound, the Grady Little decision that ended up getting him fired out of Boston for keeping Pedro in, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, Aaron Boone hits the dinger in, like, the 12th or whatever.
Right.
And sends them to the World Series.
But also remember, that was 2003. The Red Sox have won 3 World Series since then, so I think
but it could have been 4. I mean, the Marlins weren't exactly the best team on paper.
Oh, no.
I mean, with Miggy and Dontrell, yeah, maybe, but I mean, we would have had just as good a shot to win that series, too.
No, sure.
When I say we, I meant the Sox.
Yeah, we got it.
Well, I've always been a person who I don't like when somebody says we. Like, you're not on the team. You're a fan, yes, but I'm not on the team.
You're like the 12th man.
Yeah.
I look at these, and I hate to jump off a tangent, and I'll let you talk about the Red Sox, because I want to get back to it. But, like, I look at these VGK message boards when the Golden Knights, and they're like, we got to play better. I'm like, well, maybe if you weren't sitting in Section 219, you'd play better. You get on the damn ice. You're not on the team, douchebag.
Yeah. Funnily enough, my wife has just started doing the we thing. Talking about
as long as she's not doing the woo thing.
No, oh God, we both fucking hate that. I actually, on the Golden Knights subreddit, I said that the wooing was for people too stupid to know how to play a vuvuzela and too poor to be able to afford one.
So, you were talking about Boone, though.
No, I think because the Red Sox have won, that has kind of gotten the Boone monkey off their back.
Right, that's a fair assessment.
And everything else. So, I think that's just, that has made up for a lot of the ails. I don't think that, Bucky fucking Dent, he's always going to live in lore because so many people that were diehard Red Sox fans literally died between the time that Bucky fucking Dent hit his home run and the Red Sox won the World Series. But, from Boone to 2004, 1 year, everybody just kind of said, oh, yeah, I bet if you even ask, 100 Red Sox fans who on the Yankees hit that home run in 2003,
they wouldn't remember.
I guarantee you a good chunk of them aren't going to remember that.
And see, that's the thing. Like, I was not alive for Bucky Dent, so my Bucky Dent is Aaron Boone. Even though you're right, 3 titles have elapsed since then. If you take a shot at a title away, I mean, I will always say David fucking Tyree. You know what I'm saying? David Tyree, Mario Manningham, and Wes Welker cost Tom Brady 3 Super Bowls.
Yep.
So it's the same thing. Even though the Patriots won 5, they should have 8 because of 3. And again, not one play does a game make, but Rodney Harrison knocks that ball out. You're talking about a different story. If Mario Manningham, if Wes Welker doesn't, if Wes Welker catches that third down pass, we're not talking about that. And if now, I don't want to dive too far into it, but if the NFL knew what the fuck a catch rule was, Corey Clement's catch, now they're saying would have been incomplete.
Right. Yeah. So, that we could probably do an entire podcast about that fucking nonsense.
Yeah.
All right. Let's. I'll throw this out there without actually looking for in-depth analysis. What is more confusing, a catch in the NFL or goalie interference in the NHL?
Without in-depth analysis, I would say goalie interference because, and I just said it's not in depth.
Right.
I will say goalie interference because I have never gotten a ruling on. I've never gotten what the rule bases are. On the catch, I understood catch 2 feet, 1 knee, or a body part, completing the process. I understood what all of that meant. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay, I get it.
I understood what completing the process was, etc. I don't know what those outlines are for goalie interference.
Right, and I was asking the question without actually knowing which way I was leaning on it. So
mine would be goalie interference because of the fear of the unknown. That Fleury goal the other day against the Avalanche, the whole arena's like, boo, and I'm like, they left it a goal on the ice. They're not going to overturn it. They are not sure what to do, and that's why they said the call on the ice stands as a good goal. They didn't confirm it. They didn't overturn it.
Yeah.
They're like, stand as a good goal. So that was too much analysis. I apologize.
No, I tend to agree with you as well. The goalie interference is more of a debacle in my mind.
Before you make your decision, I mean, look at it. You're probably the biggest. You probably know the most about hockey, I would say, generally, on the three of us. You followed it probably longer in your life.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just speculating. I'm not disrespecting anybody else on this podcast.
Well, it also makes sense because I
would
think
say
I'm 10
fair
years
enough.
older than both of you, too. So I got a little bit of a head start.
Okay, but you played hockey, correct?
No, I could never learn how to skate.
Oh, okay. Oh, then maybe. Okay, I played more. I probably played. Well, have you played? Did you play hockey?
No, I couldn't skate.
Okay, then I played the most hockey on this podcast. You've probably watched the most hockey on this podcast.
All right.
And may know the rules more as specifically targeting goalies. What are the outlines? I've seen spots where the stick was kicked, and I've seen spots where Fleury was hit in the head.
Yeah.
But he was also pushed into the neighborhood of where the next shot was coming from.
Yeah, I'm not going to take the time to bring up the actual rule because God knows I wouldn't be able to understand the corporate doublespeak even if I did read it.
The old rule was pure and simple.
Oh, yeah.
Well, if you're in the crease, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But, now it's something like non-incidental contact with a goalie that doesn't allow him to make or get in position to try to make a save, which...
What does that mean?
Yeah, I mean, there's 4 different subjective lines in that when players are moving at 100 miles an hour and a ref may not have a clear line of vision to it. Even when they do the replays, you're not always going to get the clearest camera angles. And, that last night's game, or was it 2 nights ago?
Last night was the challenge. There was another challenge goal last night.
Yeah, so when they challenged that one last night, the refs, it didn't look like they were trying to figure out what the play was. It was more that they couldn't communicate with Toronto to figure out what Toronto was saying. The ref kept pointing at the headphones and shaking his head like he wasn't able to understand what was being said over there.
In both instances, I thought, when I sat in my seat and watched it, I said, I think they're both good goals, but it wouldn't shock me if they overturned them.
Yeah.
And that's not the basis for doing that. The basis for creating a rule is not to create a situation where, like Anthony would say, it could go either way. You know what I'm
It's been a
saying?
while since I've said that.
Yeah. It was one of
You
those...
have rephrased that sentence. You're like, I could see this happening, and then I'm like, so you're basically saying it could go.
Yeah.
My point is, he and I had this conversation on Thursday or Friday, basically stating that, with the Calvin Johnson situation, I've always believed it wasn't a catch. With the Calvin Johnson catch, quote unquote.
Oh, yeah, okay.
The Des Bryant, I've always believed it was a catch. And the thing is that everyone has believed, and I know that's not popular opinion because everyone has believed the complete opposite. Calvin caught it, Des didn't. And the thing is, the NFL, I thought, put out pretty good guidelines, and for the most part, got a lot of those right. Even if some of those went against the Patriots, including the Clement. Like I said it when we were sitting here, I said, I don't think it's a catch, but under the guidelines, I think it's going to be. Because the thing is what's going to change here the situation when a guy goes right to the sidelines, taps his feet, puts the ball into his stomach, but then the minute all right, that's actually not a good example. Catches the ball like an Amendola play, catches the ball, turns around, takes one step, gets cracked, and then the minute he hits the ground, ball pops out. If I read the new rule correctly, that's a catch. I don't agree with that.
Because that's a football play.
But is it? Taking another step? I don't know.
According to the new rule, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like they've made the catch easier to do. Mm-hmm. Is that fair? I mean, they're already targeting defenses with all of these offensive rules and guidelines to increase offense. I mean, how much more should we even put freaking guys on the field at this point?
Put dummies on the field.
I mean, we talked about guys like Richard Sherman and Darrell Revis, and the fact that these guys can do what they do in the new era of the rules for offense is amazing. Because in back in the day, you could. I mean, Jerry Rice, and on the flip side, what Jerry Rice was able to do when he could get mauled is also amazing.
No, you're right about that, and I think part of the problem, the reason that this catch controversy has become so, well, public's not the right word, but the reason that it's at the forefront of so many people's minds is that we've seen so many, not just catches that were ruled non-catches because of the rule, but it was touchdowns that were ruled non-scoring plays because of the old catch rule. So I think in order for the league to kind of overcorrect to appease the public opinion was to make the catch easier so that way those scoring plays were more likely to be scoring plays and not incompletes.
Now let me ask you this, because I asked this to Tony, but you're obviously closer to the situation. I asked this on Friday. Do you believe the NFL finally took a look at this and changed it because the majority of the plays this season happened in New England Patriots games?
Oh. Yeah.
Because I told him, as much as Jerry Jones wants Dallas to be successful, when Dallas is a train wreck, it's still publicly okay because it's still publicly lucrative for Jerry and the Cowboys. But when every time New England has success, it's because they rigged it or they cheated or the refs or officials are helping them, blah, blah, blah. I mean, name your excuse in the book. But now, you talk about it. You had Kelvin Benjamin. The Kelvin Benjamin ended up being a non-catch.
Yep.
The Safarian Jenkins fumble, non-fumble at the goal line that may have cost the Jets the game, one of the games.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
You have the Clement. You have the Zach Ertz. You have the Brandon Cooks against, was that Houston or Carolina? Houston, I think.
It was Houston, yeah.
You have the Brandon Cooks catch. You have, that's 5 right there. The Jesse James catch, or the non-catch in the Pittsburgh game.
Yep.
So that's 6 right there, just in one season. My thought process is the reason they actually took a long, hard look and decided to subsequently change is because a lot of this stuff happened in New England Patriots games. I don't know. It could be a conspiracy.
It kind of seems like that.
It just seems it seems weird to me, and your dad probably appreciate that.
Yeah,
It smells a little fishy.
It's not something either of us would have thought of without you mentioning it. So when I call him tomorrow, I'm going to ask him if what he thinks about
You're goddamn right. Yeah. Oh, my God. I just fucking spit up my fluffernutter.
God, if my dad ever swore, he may actually say that. But
Water fountain or bubbler?
Bubbler, of course.
All right. I'm just curious because I know people from Boston who call it a water fountain.
Yeah, no.
So,
I've been out here long enough that I've lost my accent, but
What
still
was
say
that word again?
Bubbler.
Bubbler?
Yeah.
Well, it's bubbler, but it's bubbler for people who have to use the R.
Oh, okay.
It's bubbler.
Bubbler.
What's the Subway called?
The T.
Oh, see, I've heard the T and I've heard the Rattler.
I've heard the Rattler before.
I've never heard that.
Not specifically the Subway, but just a Subway car. I've heard it called a Rattler.
Because it shapes
Rattler.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean that. I get the idea, but
No, I'm just curious. I'm just asking.
Oh no, I've never heard it called that.
No.
But I also haven't lived there in 12 years. So.
Fair enough. Yeah. So, all right. Well, before we get too far down Harvard
Yeah,
Yard,
what the fuck were we talking about?
I don't know. Where did this all stem from?
That was the subject that you brought up.
Alex Cora, I think, started this whole conversation.
No, it was the NFL catch rule or the goalie interference being.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I have a question around the same subjects. I was talking to Aaron about this earlier. What do you think would be a harder position to play, an NHL goalie or an MLB catcher?
Oh, yeah, because he asked me this when dude took a fastball right off the wrist when he was trying to block it. And he had a fat shiner. I answered mine, but I'll answer it after you.
I think now, today, NHL goalie is harder. I think 3 or 4 years ago it would have been MLB catcher because they still allowed the collisions at home plate.
Okay.
And
I didn't even think about that.
Since those are gone, I think it's leaning towards NHL goalie right now just because of the amount of shrapnel and body parts and everything else that comes flying at you. Even though you have bigger pads and more...
And that's not even including the puck.
more protect. Yeah, the puck's going to hit you no matter what you do.
Plus sticks as well and all that.
Yeah. So no, I think right now it's got to be the goalie.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, I said goalie too because I caught for most of my childhood and into my early adulthood. And I said the reason I said that it was goalie was because as a catcher for the priority, well, not for the priority. When you call pitches, you know, 100-mile-an-hour fastball, 100-mile-an-hour puck, probably, I fear the puck a little bit more just because of its frozen rubber. But at the same time, for the general part, as long as the pitcher has some semblance of control, I know where that ball is supposed to be. I don't know where the puck's going.
Ah, okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like when a shot comes, like when I call a low outside fastball, I know where I intend that ball to come. When I'm facing William Karlsson, who the fuck knows where that puck's gonna? Who the hell knows where that puck's gonna happen? Goal of the year, by the way.
Oh, easily, yeah.
Better than Crosby's little Dwayne Robertson little Mighty Ducks puck tap.
The knuckle puck.
No, that was Tyler. That was Russ Tyler. Come on, man. You gotta know your Mighty Ducks. You know what I'm talking about, right?
I know what you're talking about. The fact that you can actually differentiate the players aside from Goldberg.
One of my favorite movies of all time. D2. Russ Tyler was Keenan, and Dwayne Robertson was the Texas Cowboy. And he was like,
You got a 2-minute minor for roping.
Yeah, 2-minute minor for roping. Anyways, so that's I would say hockey goaltender for the fact I didn't even think about the fact of the home plate collisions.
Yeah, now that they're being protected a little bit more, I think goalies are a little more vulnerable and a little more.
Well, they're more unprotected because, like you said, the old rule was if you got into the crease, and no goal.
Yeah.
So now it's like you can come in the crease, but you can't touch the goalie. Do you favor a revisitation of the goalie interference as far as putting them back out of the crease, or do you favor it because of the reason they did that was to increase offense? Clearly. Yeah.
No, and I would actually even go the other way. I want them to get rid of the the distinct kicking motion. I want them to get rid of you can't headbutt the puck in there.
You want them to say
or above the crossbar.
You want them to say by any means necessary.
Basically, if the puck goes in the net, call it a fucking goal and move on with our lives.
Ooh, interesting. I don't know if I agree with that.
It's.
Ooh.
It's not like it's. Well, for us as lay people, it would be difficult to score in the NHL, but for the professionals.
It's still difficult to score.
It's hard enough to score. We don't need because I remember
it's hard enough to skate, let alone shoot a puck on skates.
Right. I remember in I think it was the 2013 Stanley Cup Final, Chicago versus Boston. One of the guys on Chicago headbutted the puck in the net. They called it no goal, and then he started arguing. He's like, "I didn't use my hand. I used my head." And the refs are still like, "No, that's still you can't
above
do
the crossbar.
That's against the rules." And I'm like, why would, as much as it would hurt Boston, why would you not call that a goal? Dude fucking headbutted a frozen puck into the net.
Yeah.
Just give him a goal based on the goddamn cojones it takes to think of that in the first place.
So should they adopt...
I'm sure he didn't injure his brain in that situation.
You're fair point.
Should they adopt a soccer-style approach? As long as it's not touched by your gloves, which, unfortunately, are still attached to your stick, but as long as it's not touched by your hands... Anything can be used to put it into a goal.
That would make sense to me, yeah.
That'd be interesting.
It would increase
because I don't agree with somebody catching, kind of scoop catching the puck and throwing it.
Yeah, because I could see why that would be problematic.
If you're saying a goal by any means necessary, I believe we will lose 50% of the goals that happen on stick, and they'll just be going up to the front and diving and just smacking goals in, or it's diving and
kicking goals in,
flipping the puck up. I think we'll lose integrity of hockey a lot.
Believe me, it wouldn't go from what we're at now to what I'm saying by any means necessary. There would be, there would obviously have to be little adjustments and steps in between. And I think if the touching the puck with your hands,
I've actually always had a problem with them touching the puck with their hands.
Yeah,
yeah, the catching, because honestly, I don't know what the fuck. Closing your hand on the puck and hand passes are, because I've seen it happen and it's not called, and I've seen it happen and it's called, and I'm like, for the love of God, explain this to me. I've seen literally guys catch the puck, put it down over here, and I'm not talking about goalies, and I'm like, that's closing your hand on the puck. That's 2 minutes.
Yeah, right. That's a game of misconduct.
So it's supposed to be. They're never going to call it even if you catch it, close your hand on it. And then
put it straight down.
And then put it in front of you or off to the side. If you advance it while your hand's closed around the puck, then you're fucking gone. But, for just in general gameplay, if you catch the puck and drop it right in front of you, the refs aren't going to blink.
But if we're talking about increasing offense, if you can't touch the puck with your hands, that could help.
That might.
Mm-hmm. Because if a puck's getting rodeoed above me and I'm like this, instead I can't, you're going to see more high sticks, but at least more often than not, you're going to whiff the puck with your stick. You're not going to hit it. Right. And the guy flying by, you have to decide, do I go for the puck or do I go for the guy flying by me?
Yeah. So you might see more high sticking calls too.
Well, just the infraction, not the minor penalties.
But you could see an increase in that too if you.
You could. I'm saying subtle little ways. I think I don't mind like you said, the by any means necessary might be a bit excessive, but maybe a puck, coming off the head. I don't know. I get what they're trying to say. They want you to score with your stick. They don't want you to actively kick or headbutt or shoulder nudge. They want you to score with your stick.
Right.
Now, I've seen instances where a guy's skating up, and when the pass comes cross ice, it hits his skate and not his stick. That's
was it a kicking motion or not a kicking?
Yeah. Then they're like, "Was it a kicking motion?" I was like, "Well, no, he wasn't kicking." And I can see that situation. If they said it was by only the stick, obviously offense would decrease. Not dramatically, because how many times does it not go off a stick?
Right. I mean, it's
but like deflections would be different, because I've seen one deflect off a Hala's elbow.
Yeah.
So would they discredit that if they started going too far that way?
You'd have to add that guideline in the rules as well.
Because if I'm sticking out my stick and then I stick out my stick and it hits my elbow, am I actively sticking out my elbow? It's not the same thing.
Right, and this is part of the problem why I'm just saying, if it goes in the net, fucking just call it going in the net, because otherwise...
I'd be okay with that if they made the net smaller.
Right, oh, okay.
Oh, decrease it by like...
a few
maybe
inches.
6 inches.
Few inches each way.
Yeah.
Not 6, that's a lot.
Well, I mean like 3 on each side, total of 6.
Yeah, okay, I got you, yeah. 3 inches each, 2 inches each way, and then maybe down, to...
Inch or 2.
I mean, obviously Ben Bishop would become the greatest goalie in the world, but... so, I don't know. I mean, hockey's not in a situation... Yes, goalie interference needs to be addressed, but I mean, we've gone so far off the wheels, not in a bad way, but I'm saying we've gone so far off the wheels that we're talking about, goals by non-stick, methods. But I'm just saying, like, if you could pick anything. I don't think goaltender interference. I don't know how many. I'd have to get some stats, but I don't know how many goals, goaltender interference calls or challenges there have been in the. Let's just say there's on an average of 1 a game. That might. Do you think that's high?
I would say a little high, but not ridiculously. I would say about maybe 4 out of 5 games, a challenge like that happens.
Okay, so for a single team, 1 every 5. So out of an 80-game season, you're talking about, 16 challenges? Yeah, so 16 challenges per team for 31 teams would be about 550 challenges.
Roughly around there, yeah.
That number seems high. It's in the sense that that's a lot of challenges.
Right, that feels high.
Now, let's take out the amount of challenges that are happening now because they're like, oh, well, I'm just going to take a shot because anything could happen. Could you decrease that by a third? Because, I mean, if you don't use your challenges, you lose them. So if there's a sense of that there could be any way that it could come back. I mean, Gallant did that one time. I can't remember the exact game, but there was a potential offsides where you look at it, you're like, it's probably a good goal, but you take a shot. So if you eliminate a third of those challenges from coaches just saying, hey, let me just take a shot, I may get it overturned. So now you're looking at, let's say on a rough end, like I said, it's 600. So you're still at about 400 challenges, roughly, a little less than 400 challenges at 2 minutes apiece, which is about the average. So now you're looking at 800 minutes gone. Is that enough? Is that enough in the NHL for them to actually say, "Hey, we got an issue here"? I don't know if that is. I know that's time of the game versus dictating outcome of the game. But have there been any coaches' challenges so egregious or goaltender interferences that have been so egregious that you've been like, the whole game was mapped on this? I'm sure there are. I'm sure each individual diehard fan will have one against his team.
Yeah.
But I can't think of one that was so egregious that was called the wrong way. Like the Fleury one, I even said it. I'm like, I could see it going either way, even with the call on the field being a goal, because yes, he hit him, but when he bumped him into the zone where the next shot was coming from. You know what I'm saying? So it was like it wasn't such an egregious goaltender interference. And Fleury, when that goal happened on Monday against Colorado, he wasn't up in arms. He took the goal and he skated around like he does. He
wasn't like Berger that one time where he got bumped and
he didn't have an issue with it. So it leads me to believe that even Fleury believed it was, a good goal. And he, of course, he'd be like, okay, I'll take it if it's going to be overturned.
Yeah,
I haven't seen anything too egregious. Just in my limited watching, that's been like, hey, look, this needs to be addressed.
Yeah, recently I can't think of anything that's outlandish. I'm sure there have been some that were ridiculous that were called no goalie interference. We haven't seen anything like, oh fuck. The thought just came to me, and now I can't think of what year it was, but it was Felix Potvin when he played for Toronto.
When he got tripped?
When he got tripped in the goal, they called it a goal, ran over to complain to the refs, fell down, and took one of the refs with him and got a game misconduct because
I remember that. Yeah.
He had tackled one of the refs. Yeah.
And I mean, even on egregious calls where you're just like, that is absolutely the wrong call. I mean, like I said, this is a spitball number, but if there were 20 on the high end, even then it's like, did that really dictate the outcome of your entire season? Like if a team misses a playoff by a point, that goalie interference could come back in the grand scheme of things. But I mean,
yeah. Well, they're saying that that's a possibility right now, not with the goalie interference, but with a missed offside goal in an early game between St. Louis and Colorado. And now we're in a situation where both of those teams are fighting for a playoff spot, and there's only like 1 or 2 points separating them. And it's possible that blown point for Colorado is going to be the point that keeps them out of the playoffs.
But that's also you're not also talking about all the games they got beat though.
No.
Yeah, I'm saying over the long scheme of things, the regression to the mean. You're right though. But that's the thing. There are situations that's good analysis because I didn't think about that. I didn't know that happened between St. Louis and Colorado, who are both fighting for one of the final wild card spots.
Right. Actually, now I'm looking at it. They're both have 92 points, and they both played 78 games.
So that 1 point could.
So that 1 point could really fuck over Colorado.
Well, yeah, because did it cause them to lose in overtime, or did it cause them to lose the whole game?
I think it was regulation. I'm going to have to go back and look.
So, because that could be 2 points. I mean, they could have 94, and St. Louis could be at 90 right now. So that's a 2-point swing.
Or 91
swing,
or something instead, yeah.
That's a 2-point swing, yeah. So, I mean, obviously the goal of technology, and we talked about this on Friday, and Spike, I'll ask you, with all of this technology, has the game almost become worse because we know too much?
This is where you're going to have arguments between the purists and the casual fans that just want to see exciting action. The purists will say, yes, human
element.
The human element is a part of the game, and we're supposed to let it go. Blah blah blah. I'm on the camp that says, get it right. I don't care how long it takes. I don't care what the problem is. Just get the call right on the ice, on the field. If it's football, baseball,
right,
anything else, just get it right because. You hate to see situations like that Colorado-St. Louis game or like a situation where, the outcome of a game is dictated by a controversial call by referees who may...
But that's been like that for years. We just didn't have the ability to know about it.
Right, but now we have the ability to know about it.
Because we have the ability to know. Okay.
So why not use it? Get it right. Even if you say, I don't agree that we should be looking at this kind of thing, it's fine, but I still want the game to be dictated by the right calls and not the wrong calls just because we've never been able to see the right call before.
Well, that's like baseball. I mean, they held out on replay for so long, and then I think one of the moments that really turned it was, and you would know this, the pitcher who was going for the no-hitter, and he covered first.
The perfect game, actually.
Perfect game.
Oh, right.
Was it Galarraga?
Galarraga.
Okay. Galarraga was going. It was clearly out.
Yeah.
And Jim Joyce called him safe.
Yeah, and then after the game, he looked at the replay. He's like, "Fuck, I fucked that up."
So yes, I agree. I stand on both sides of those arguments because at the same time, I believe there's a human element to the game, and that shit happens. But at the same time, if we have the ability to get it right, you're right. But the problem is that. A lot of people stand on the attention span or lack of, and they say, "Oh, well, this game's now become 4 hours long because 3 of these replays took 20 minutes." You know what I'm saying? I have no problem. When I'm watching a game, I'm not worried about the time.
I'd rather have the right outcome of the game.
I agree with you. So that's why I'm okay with the thing. But now here we have this Colorado-St. Louis debacle, and you're telling me they looked at the replay and still got it wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how they got it wrong. I'm trying.
I don't know the play, but what I'm saying,
trying to find the replay right now.
That was back in mid-November or something.
Something like that.
Yeah, I believe I know the play that you're talking about because that was a big.
That's the thing
talk about that week.
That's the thing that's become the talking point now is because back then a call may have been incorrect, but we had no way of confirming or denying that's the case. Now a call may be incorrect. They review it. They still maybe make the incorrect decision, and we know that based on what we can see. Does that make your argument any better? I mean, the call is still made by the officials. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because me, Joe Schmo, sitting there, could have said, yeah, okay, let's take the Fleury one again. The whole arena booed. They all thought it was not goalie interference, but at the end of the day, the Zebras are the one making the decision. And your boos are not going to affect their decision, in my opinion. Well, clearly that one didn't.
Yeah, no, that's just never going to influence a referee unless they feel that their lives are in danger. Like if they were in Philadelphia, then maybe it would.
Or South America.
Or Boston that one day.
Which one was that?
Where the fans it was either the fans or the players started attacking the refs. Like somebody took off. Oh no, that was the fans against the players. Where Boston came over the glass.
Oh, that was in the 70s or 80s.
Yeah, that was.
I thought you were talking about recently.
No.
That was when.
That was Terry O'Reilly, wasn't it?
Terry O'Reilly. Somebody threw their keys on the ice and hit Terry O'Reilly. So O'Reilly and Mike Milbury and a few other guys went
go over the glass.
That wasn't the same one when someone stole Mike Milbury's stick, was it? Those were different.
I think it was a different time because I think that was a time where Mike Milbury went in the stands and took off some guy's shoe and
and beat him with it.
Yes,
yeah.
That was hilarious.
Okay, so those are two. Yeah, I remember when the Bruins went in the stands. That was against the Rangers. That was at Madison Square Garden, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so. Yeah.
So, anywho, where did this conversation start again?
I don't know. We started talking about baseball, and somehow we ended up in goalie interference and Mike Milbury beating somebody with a shoe. So
that's all right.
So I'm happy with where the conversation has gone.
Yeah, exactly. The Dodgers and Giants has been an interesting series, actually. I know that we've just completely abrupted that conversation, but
nobody cares about
Mike
baseball.
Milbury beat some guy with a shoe. Dodgers and Giants have been weird. There's been 3 shutouts in that series. 2 by San Francisco and 1 by the Dodgers. I remember I bet the Dodgers opening day, and then I bet the Dodgers again on the second game. And I woke up, because I didn't watch the game, and I woke up on the second game, and I saw it was 1-0 with a panic homer. I'm like, no, this is the score from yesterday. No. Why is Yahoo? Because Yahoo Sports is consistently fucking terrible on their app. And I'm like, oh God, they can't even get their days right. And then I realized, I looked at ESPN and I'm like, they're wrong too. And then I looked at I turned on the TV. I forget what channel. I think it was ESPN.
It's Groundhog's Day.
And they did, yeah. It felt like Groundhog's Day. It was literally a 1-0 victory by the Giants on a panic homer. And I'm like, and it turns out that's exactly what it was. So, do the Dodgers do they have any reason to be worried? Because I mean, they lost the World Series, which can kind of create an effect of issues. Kershaw went out there on the bump as a 300 favorite, and I would say essentially did his job. And they've
gave up 1 run.
They've gotten pretty much no offense in 3 games.
Yeah, I don't think it's time for them to start freaking out. I still think they either win that division or slide into the playoffs. So,
even with the Diamondbacks and the Rockies, being as good as they were last year, and the Giants, who seem to be able to not be scared of this big bad LA team.
Yeah, I mean the Giants went from the second worst team to potentially one of the better teams in that division, almost.
Yeah, I mean they've got Longo and they've got McCutchen, so they're definitely better. I mean Cueto can have a bounce back year. They can definitely be a factor.
Yeah. No, I still think the Dodgers still win that division though.
Okay. I mean, like you said, I know it's early and there's no reason to panic. But the Chicago White Sox, who are rebuilding, is the last American League undefeated team.
Yes. They're actually not this year, but like next year or the year after, they're probably going to be one of my picks to win the World Series.
The White Sox?
Yes.
Wow, interesting. If we're still doing this podcast in how many years?
1 or 2 years.
1 or 2 years. I'm going to hold you to that.
All right.
We're going to do MLB predictions, and I'm going to make you pick the Chicago White Sox.
Okay.
Who do you have now for this year?
This year I have...
For your way too early World Series picks that no one cares about.
I have the Indians
except
this year.
Indians versus the Dodgers?
Indians against the Nationals this year. And the Indians win it.
What do you got, Spike?
Christ. Well, because the problem is I keep going back and forth, and I still don't know what to make of the Red Sox. So I think I got to go probably Cleveland and the Dodgers.
I echo those sentiments. I don't quite know what to make of the back end of the Red Sox rotation and their bullpen. I think Cleveland from top to bottom is the best team. So yeah, I'm going Indians. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna change that. I lied. Since we're all going in, I'm gonna be different.
Oh, yeah. He's pulling his bike.
I'm pulling a spike.
Uh-oh.
I'm going UMBC versus Loyola Chicago. No, I am going to go. As much as I like the Indians, I like the Nationals if they can, if Strasburg can stay healthy. But I am going to go Nationals versus the New York Yankees.
Oh.
I thought you were going to say Astros for a second.
No, Nationals, Yankees.
Yeah, the Yankees. God, they look scary.
Well, I mean, the thing is you got he didn't start the season this way, but you have effectively your fourth and fifth starter is CeCe. Not that he's great, but
He's still dangerous.
he's still effective enough in that role to get you 8, 9, 10 wins.
I mean, what was he the other day against the Blue Jays? What was he, minus 130 or something?
He was
on the
minus
road?
140 on the road, and
Yeah.
they won.
Yeah, actually, I was watching that line. That line was weird because with the run line, it was only a 30 point swing for them to win by 2 or more.
30 cents?
Yeah, compared to a 50 or 60% swing with the run line for most games.
Yeah, you got to find the thing with the MLB and seasons, sports with long seasons like that is you got to find weird gaps to take advantage of because the handle on the MLB, the handle on the NHL is not anywhere near the NBA, the NFL, college football, etc. So if you can find little areas where they're really not paying attention, you can capitalize on those.
Yes. Or in-game lines that a team's down by maybe 2 runs or something.
I gave this guy a freebie today, and he missed it. I gave him a freebie. He took Detroit as a dog.
Oh, yeah.
And they got out to an early lead, and Pittsburgh became a dog. He could have had free money.
Yeah.
He didn't do it. Pittsburgh came back, and I think they're beating them right now.
Yeah, 8-4 is the score right now.
Oh, that makes me even more upset. Not upset, but I'm saying
whatever.
You had free money on your plate.
Yeah, I was risking it for the biscuit.
Oh, that's going to be a soggy biscuit.
I'm still up today, thanks to Isner.
Thanks to my tennis bet.
Goddamn tennis bets.
That was his wood hitting the wood. Anywho, let's wrap it up there. Any other thoughts on what we've talked about today or anything else you wanted to get off your chest? How'd the Buttes do? They won, right?
The NWHL season's over.
I thought that when you told us they won?
Yeah, no.
Oh, okay. I was only half listening. Sorry.
That was the Riveters have already won the Isabel Cup. So
Fuck the Riveters. I found out an interesting thing. I was looking at because do you ever go down the Wikipedia rabbit hole? Has anyone ever done that?
Not every once in a while, but not often as probably you guys do.
I think I've been more inclined to the YouTube rabbit hole.
Or YouTube, yeah. Okay.
A lot more YouTube than
The
Wikipedia.
the last YouTube rabbit hole I fell down, I ended up watching 4 or 5 different commercials for Chinese car manufacturers.
Yeah, that is weird. You fell far.
Oh, yeah.
But the Wikipedia one, you start clicking, okay, this one's got a link. Let's click this. Well, I want to know about this. Anyways, I found out Denard Span, who plays outfield for the Tampa Bay Rays. Are you familiar with the name?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
His wife plays for the Buffalo Buttes.
Oh, no kidding.
So I fell down the rabbit hole and found some interesting things that now I have a conversation piece with Spike next time I say that.
all right.
So
The reason why I don't trust Wikipedia too much is because anybody could edit it. So
I
That's-
don't think that's one that was edited. Though.
I know, but
I get what you're saying, but
that's why I usually don't.
I don't
use
cite it on
Wikipedia too
papers.
much,
But
yeah.
Yeah.
I've made Wikipedia bets. I mean, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, what you'll find on there is accurate, but if you actually want to quote something in a paper, like what I do for school, if I find something in Wikipedia that I want to use, I look at the bottom
of
where
the citation.
that site cited, and then go read that article to make sure it's accurate, and then use that citation.
Sure.
Yeah.
You see, I haven't been in college for 5 years, so I don't have to worry about that shit.
Yeah, well,
Wikipedia is good enough for me.
You're fucking lucky, because this shit is for the birds.
Well,
Yeah.
that is fair. Now, what are you going to do when you graduate?
If my wife has her way, I'll go to law school. Which, I don't know why I would need a PhD and then go to law school, but...
Play a haters degree.
That's, what?
You never heard PhD is the player hater degree?
I've heard it. I've heard it from
That's a
somebody
real
from
thing.
Atlanta. So.
People actually say that?
In the 90s they did.
Oh my god. I feel like dropping out of my program just because of that one line.
Well, if you don't want to go to law school, then that one line will be a good enough reason to drop out. So, anyways, well, we thank you very much for listening to another edition of the Vegas Squares podcast. You can catch us on many of our different sponsors and affiliates. We are on 12 Ounce Sports Radio every Tuesday night and Saturday morning. You can check them out at 12ouncesportsradio.com. And we are also on the Forward Mile Podcast Network. You can catch them at www.forwardmile.com. You can subscribe to their services. They are one of the top names in daily fantasy sports, so you can make a little money with them. And when you're not making money on daily fantasy, you can listen to us in the podcast tab. I also want to thank Chai Poker, one of our main sponsors. They'll be hosting a tournament at South Point.
Free pizza.
Oh my God, you and the free pizza. And free parking, too. Free pizza and free parking, those are key elements to the tournament. What the hell was I talking about? Charity tournament at South Park.
Oh my god.
I don't even, I'm so
He went
twisted
down the
with
rabbit hole again.
this freaking free pizza threw me off. So there's a charity tournament at South Point Casino in the poker room on April 14th at 8 p.m. benefiting Clark County Charities and Chai Poker Charities. I don't remember the buy-in. It's 140, right?
120 plus an optional $10 casino staff appreciation. Add-on.
So 120 plus 10.
Everybody's going to take that add-on, though.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And unless you just hate poker dealers.
There's some people that do.
I'm aware. Damn it, I keep getting off track.
Jesus.
We're definitely going to be there.
I'll be there as well.
Yeah, we'll definitely be there. We may even have a booth set up. We may even do a podcast from over there. So if you want to get in and clap back at us on some sports topics that you either agreed with or disagreed with, or you want to talk about what's going on at that time, because that'll be post-Masters. So if Tiger wins, maybe we'll have something to talk about there. You can get at us, and we will see you at South Point on the 14th. Any other things going on that I missed that I don't want the sponsors to drop us?
I don't know. I'm just excited for Masters Week, so.
Yeah.
You know, I am morbidly curious to see how Token Tony would do at a Brazilian barbecue. Because my wife and I...
Brazilian steakhouse? Like Pampas?
Yeah, exactly. My wife and I went to one last night, and I forgot exactly how much meat they bring around. And I know that you can fucking put it away. So.
Which one did you go to?
Tejas de Brazil.
Texas de Brazil?
Yeah.
It's Texas de Brazil.
Whatever it is. I don't know.
there used to be one.
Don't sugarcoat it. It's Texas. You're talking about the one in South...
by Town Center.
Town Center, yeah. Town Square or whatever.
Town Square, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Town Square.
Don't make that mistake, because in Vegas, there is a town center and there is a town square.
Right, town center
and they are
is somewhere,
not
right?
close to each other. Yeah, I made that mistake because I was asking Desiree one time. I'm like, where you at? And she's like, Town Square. And so I went over to like Town Center where like the RC Willie is and stuff. I'm like, where the fuck are you? She's like, Town Square. I'm like, I'm in Town Square. And then I realized. So anyways. It may have been reversed. Maybe I was at Town Square. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, let's wrap it up there. For Anthony, for Spike, I am Aaron, and we appreciate you listening. You can catch this on VegasSquares.com or any, like I said, Forward Mile or 12 Ounce Sports Radio. We will see you next time.